when you look at Jalen Hurts this year, you have to look at the turnovers and the turnover worthy plays as well. And, he had 2 picks last night, and both by Julian Love. That second one, yeah, that's a play that you really don't expect anybody to make, and it was outstanding and all of that. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts has 17 turnovers, which leads the league along with Josh Allen, and you've got Josh Dobbs, and then also Sam Howell. And so you don't really necessarily expect Jalen Hurts to be playing like that based on the way he was last year, where just turnovers were not really a thing for him. So that's where I go back to. I don't know if it's disconnect between Jalen Hurts and the coaching, where you have a different offensive coordinator and a different play caller in Brian Johnson than you had last year with Shane Steichen, who's now obviously the head coach of the Colts, or it's something different between Jalen Hurts and the rest of the offensive personnel. I mean, you still got a really, really good offensive line. You've still got a lot of talent there at receiver, but it's just not clicking in the same way that it was in 2022. I think we all know that. And frankly, I did not expect to see the Eagles have a 3-game losing streak. But the way that they've been playing, you understand why they keep losing. They're just not all right on offense. And you just, for whatever reason, it's not quite working the way we all expect it to work from an offense that was so dominant and so good last year.
That's what's amazing. They go from 10-1 to 10-4. And at 10-1, now, early in the year, and this was a point that Chris Sims would make, they're not really dominant. They're still winning. And they're feasting on a phase of their schedule that wasn't as challenging as what they've seen recently. But they were still moving and getting it done. And the whole brotherly shove, tush, push, whatever we are going to call it, shortens the sticks. 1st and 10, no. 1st and 9, 1st and 8 is more like it. And we just see that happen, and we see them. It feels inevitable every week. It felt inevitable last night. That's what made it so weird. Like, I thought the Eagles were going to win before I knew Geno Smith wasn't going to play. Yeah. If you'd have given me the opportunity before kickoff to bet the farm on the Eagles with Drew Lock playing, I would have taken it. That's what makes last night so strange, because the Eagles had lost 2 in a row. The Eagles have an opportunity to get back to the top of the division and not be the 5 seed. They're still holding out hope of chasing down the 49ers for the 1 seed, knowing the 49ers have the Ravens next week. The ingredients were there for the Eagles to get right again. But you know what? The Eagles didn't realize the ingredients were there for the Seahawks to get right again. We just didn't realize it. I didn't see it. They didn't see it. And now they're left to pick up the pieces after this 3-game losing streak. The only good news is, if they're ever going to go 3-0 to end a season, Giants, Cardinals, Giants, if they lose any of these next 3 games, maybe they will go 1-out in the playoffs. And even if they win these games convincingly, the fact that we've seen them lose now, 49ers, Cowboys, Seahawks, 3 of the better teams in the conference, are they going to be ready to win in the postseason, especially if and when they have to go on the road?
That's a great question. And I don't know. I mean, I think that the point you make right there is absolutely right, because how are we going to really judge this team off of doing what they really ought to do to the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants again, right? These are 2 teams that just are not really good. Okay. We understand that there's not much for those other teams to really play for, and the Eagles have to get right. The Eagles have to be able to play better in these next 3 and figure their stuff out, So you do have a new defensive play caller. Let's be a dominant defense over these next 3 weeks. Let's remove all doubt. Okay. Offensively, let's make sure that everything is the way it needs to be between now and the end of the regular season, so that we can be buttoned up and sewn up and have our good vibes going into the playoffs, because the vibes right now, they're bad. All right. It's a totally bad vibe, especially when you get the quarterback talking about at the podium commitment and whatever else that needs to happen for the rest of this team. That's not what you need when you're playing December football. It's not a good sign going forward if the quarterback is talking about commitment right now. Okay. I mean, that's just not something that you can have happen and then expect that you're going to all of a sudden be successful, which is why it was such a jarring comment for him to say at the podium in that moment. And, look, he's somebody that flew separately from the team because he wasn't feeling well. He was ill. He was sick. Whether we want to say it was a flu game and all that, they're playing up the narrative or not, I don't know. But at a certain point, he's also got to look and say, yeah, it's part of it is me too. And I know it says it starts with me, and I believe that he believes that. But there's a way where Jalen Hurts has got to cut down on those turnovers, and those things will also help the Eagles still be successful.
The first Julian Love interception, the throw from Hurts, and it worked when he did it in the Super Bowl, is just kind of throw it up there and let my guy go get it. I mean, there isn't a lot of precision-guided football on those throws. He trusts his guys to go get it. But there is a point where you might be on the wrong side of being careful with the ball, where it's just throw it up there, just heave it. And that's what he did. He just kind of heaved it. And the last one had that same vibe to it as well. Now, when your guys are able to go get it, fine. But clearly, we saw in those two moments, not. That's not Randy Moss back there, all due respect. It wasn't Randy Moss, and I know A.J. Brown's great, but he's not Randy Moss at the end either. So you just can't you can't throw a 50-50 ball like that unless you're confident you've got a guy back there who's going to make it 60-40 or 70-30 or higher. I guess that's my point.
Yes.
So, it wasn't like guy is open and Jalen Hurts threads the needle. It's like, I'm going to let my guy go get it. That's fine when it's A.J. Brown on that play. Now, it was double coverage, and it was a great play by Julian Love, and it was just a weird – we've already talked about that. It was just weird. I mean, maybe A.J. Brown would have had a better shot at getting the throw to the end zone. But we had two turnovers on moments that weren't really, the traditional read the field, see who's open, deliver the ball to the open guy. It's just more let it fly and hope for the best. And when you do that, there's a chance that the best is going to happen or the worst is going to happen.
Well, when you throw, three things can happen and two of them are bad, right? But I mean, I would say that Quez Watkins is not A.J. Brown either. So if you're going to throw up a 50-50 ball to somebody on the Philadelphia Eagles, you want it to be A.J. Brown, right? Or you want it to be Devontae Smith in second place, because look, Devontae Smith, despite his size, is great at going up for passes. It's part of the thing that makes him such a darn good receiver. So I think in that situation, you've got to know what the matchup is, right? Because Watkins versus Love, I don't necessarily know if that's exactly where you want to go with it, because it's a true 50-50 ball instead of the 75-25 where you've got it if you've got an A.J. Brown in that situation, he's one-on-one. You know what I mean? So that's also where the decision-making is kind of like, yeah, you do have the one-on-one, but is Quez Watkins really the guy that you want to take that one-on-one shot with, especially in that situation where if you go down and you score a touchdown, you might end the game. If you can continue to put a good drive together instead of just going for the kill shot right there, then you have a much, much better shot of putting the game away. So that's where, I don't know about going one-on-one to Quez Watkins in that situation.
And something I heard Troy Aikman say a couple of times last night that just struck me as a little bit odd. He was talking about criticism of the Eagles because they don't throw the ball to more guys. It's like, if I got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, that's who I'm only ever throwing to. Like, I've never heard a team get criticized. Like what was Aikman ever criticized for only throwing to Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper? Like, I don't understand that. And apparently there was something out there that Aikman was reacting to, but it's kind of a dumb point to try to suggest that you need to spread the ball around more. Look at what happened. Like you said, if it was A.J. Brown on that play that Love intercepted the first time, much better chance. It's a touchdown, and it's a backbreaker for the Seattle Seahawks, and the Eagles would have won that game, and we would be having a much different conversation today. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.